everybody. I'm Tim Garmick, and this is Georgina Speaks, and I'm speaking to you from the Palatino in the Parque Marquee Plaza here in San Fuegos, Cuba. And I made a video last night, and for internet purposes and hydro, I couldn't get it out. So I come to the Palatino today to finish it up and send it out. Just wanted to let you have a quick look at my gazebo that I love so much in the distance, and the big old Palatino sign right there. So I'm gonna put this in the front of the video, and then it starts with the video I did last night at 2 in the morning. I do my best work at 2 in the morning. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Shades of Hope, especially the food bank. What a special thanks to them too. I know you're feeding somebody today, and the Shades of Hope people, you're healing a soul today. So thank you for that. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Biggert. Mind my ignorance being the new member of council here, but I kind of wanted to address the elephant in the room here. Are we 100% sure that all of these properties are owned by the town?
No. No.
No. Okay. Sorry? Yeah.
We know that.
Fair enough. Why would we go ahead and get appraisals on a bunch of properties that we know we don't own?
There are a significant number of properties that I can tell you I know we do own, looking at it. There are the odd ones where there is at least an issue or a question. Those, by my research, looking at the Rusty Russell report and also doing a couple of searches 3 years ago, I think it was, are quite clearly owned by the municipality. So I would say the vast majority, I am quite confident, is owned by the municipality.
If you were to guess, 90% or?
Oh, 90 or more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Redden, if we can just, I want the next steps and then.
Jesus. Better put a hat on that. So I am Tim Garmick, and this is Georgina Speaks, and I'm coming to you live. Well, not live. Live at the time I'm recording it, not at the time you're listening to it, if you choose to listen to it. I wanted to put out a few minutes just to kind of connect again, because I've been flying around since I got here 10 days ago, something like that. I wanted to put a little something out because over the course of the winter while I'm here, I have a number of projects I intend to proceed with in the interest of the service work that I'm doing and my pursuit of why I do what I do, that sort of thing, better understanding of myself, I guess you'd call it. So basically, one of the things I was wanting to do at this point in time was address the final disposition that appears to be going on with the Lake Drive. And the reason I wanted to address it is because a number of people on Lake Drive called me when they got their letters, because somehow, well, I believe they think I believe I have some experience with the logistics of all of it. And I'm happy to say that it appears as though the town is doing what they said they would do. And that is resolving the issues on the waterfront, but offering every single person who had the opportunity to use that land prior to purchase it now. In other words, no funny business. They are doing what they said they were going to do. And I have some theories about why they're doing that. But so, and I just watched the a full 2-hour council meeting from July 24th, 2019. And it's kind of funny because looking at it now with a more open mind, having been through what we've all been through, and then I'm looking back to see with a more open mind, I looked at it now, and actually what transpired then is a little more understandable in terms of why council did things that they did, the path that they followed, not necessarily through their own fault, but I credit a lot of the problems come from bad legal advice going in, and when Anne Grant's tendency to want to run things a certain way, and so for whatever that's worth. So I'm going to be doing a full Lake Drive conclusion, 10 or 15 minutes in an upcoming video. That's one thing I'm going to be doing while I'm here. And having reviewed that, I did want to bring up to date one thing, and that is at the time when I watched it, finished watching it, I had made a declaration that the statement that Andrew Biggert made that evening at council, that he knew they own all but a couple of these properties, and based on that, he did read the rest of Rust report and did a couple of title searches. At the time, I very unkindly said, it's the stupidest thing I've heard come out of a lawyer's mouth in my 65 years, and 64, 5 years, whatever it was at the time. And I got to say that that's actually not correct, or it needs to be corrected. And the reason it does is because it is now the stupidest thing I've heard come out of a lawyer's mouth in my 69 years. And I have a funny feeling I'll take that to my grave, because, and that brings me to one of the major problems we had going into this whole thing, and that is they were council was told, no, you own this, and he told them you own it, and they believed they actually owned it. And from the basis of that, they were moving ahead on the basis that they owned it. They were holding all the cards. They had the right as owners to do whatever they were doing, and it took the whole thing down a very controversial and confrontational path, which it needn't have gone down. However, council, that's their lawyer. They got to listen to their lawyer, and they had a bad one, in my opinion. So, I'm practically a kid, actually, in my opinion. So anyway, I'll be addressing that, and I also want to address that guy that they hired to put in charge of that whole damn thing halfway through, or whatever, the waterfront czar, Trevor Jacobs. That guy, my hat's off to him. I have nothing but good things to say about him. A very decent guy, and addressed everybody's concerns, talked to anybody who called him, and somehow came in the middle of this hornet's nest, settled it all down, and steered it through the path that it was going through, which was no easy task. And I talked to him recently, because people have been getting a hold of me. I called him and talked to him, and he was very kind, as he always is, and explaining where the town's at now, and what they're attempting to do resolve. And as I said, it appears and the relevance of all of it is, at one time, about 2 years into my litigation with the town, John Hart and I had a conversation, and we went through all the opposing views and opinions about what the regarding title and identification and people's rights and all the rest of it. And the thing I asked him at that time was, can you guarantee me that every owner that had the right to use it under the bylaw, based on the understanding of the past, will have the right to buy it in the end? And that is, no picking and choosing, not the town deciding what they, because that idiot, in my opinion, Andrew Biggert, was telling the town, if you don't keep a property that the town might need in the future, bullshit. They had no right. They would never have had the right to do that. He had convinced, or gave the legal opinion, you have to do this. And his reason always was, you have to do this, underpinned with some ridiculous legal rationale. And so anyway, council got off to a rough start that way, and I think primarily because of him. So that's my opinion. And so when Trevor took it over, he had quite a hornet's nest to sort out, and he managed to calm it down, and he managed to keep it on track. And I say him because he was the leader at the time, and he was a representative for it. The entire staff took it down the right path, and in the end, we're coming up with the right conclusions. And I've also, a couple of the owners that got a hold of me asked me, should we pay them the 10 grand? Why should, I mean, obviously, if you think you've always owned it, there's a little bee in your bonnet about having to pay 10 grand but it costs 10 or 15 grand to take it through. Even if you went through conventional title and found out you did own it in the end, in order to do that, through either possessory title under the Lake Bottom Crown Land Act, or however you approached it, it would cost easily that much. And you have every property on that lake is worth $1 million to 2 to 3 or 4, depending upon the size. To settle title on that for $10,000, if you didn't sign the letter right away and send it back to the town, in my opinion, you would be ill-advised. And I talked to actually a couple of the local lawyers about it, and they're always good. So that's where I'm at with that. And I just kind of wanted to get some closure on it. And to my credit, you know, I like to think that the legal process that we went through raised all of those issues and provided the opportunity for the town to be preliminarily challenged on a number of them so that they had themselves sorted out already before we got moving to the finish line. And so I'll give myself a little credit there. What can I say? So that's one issue. And then some of the other videos that I'm going to be putting out while I'm here will deal with recovery from adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. I am one. I got my recovery over 30 years ago, and I've had an amazing life. I didn't recover. I learned to live with. I adjusted. You accommodate, you sort yourself out in a way, and you make the adjustments that you have to so that you can live comfortably in your own skin. So recovery, that'll be a big part of it. And then another part of that, which is an extension of that, is the legal aspects of recovery. In other words, legally challenging your offender, whether that's an individual or an administrative body who had authority over you at the time, or those types of things. I'm going through one of those myself. I'm quite a fair ways along in it. I have some experience, and I had the absolute pleasure of watching my offender be cross-examined about 3 weeks ago, something like that. It was an interesting process. When I was examined on this process over a year ago, some of you, anybody who's followed me knows that I got pretty. I was pretty triggered at the time that I was cross-examined on all the issues, and fortunately, the lawyer on the other side was a very decent individual and stuck to doing his job, which was getting to whatever the facts are and determining in their mind whether I'm believable or whether what I'm saying is true. And those are the parameters preliminary parameters before you get to the point where they decide, okay, we're going to try to discuss this or we're going to go right to court. So a year ago when that happened to me, it put me into a good tailspin for about 2 weeks till I got to come in for a landing. In no small way, thanks to Martin Nash and John McLean, who I talk to all the time when I'm spinning. And so so that's challenging the legal aspect of challenging your offender, whether it's an individual. And then I have some music stuff I'm working on because I love my music. And I've had an opera rolling around in my head for about 2 or 3 years now, an opera style of song, and I'm not sure exactly how it's going to end, but it's coming to fruition now, and so I'll be doing that. And then I have a number of other projects I'm working on, which I'll be producing. Not the least of which is I'm working on something for the Cooks Bay Bluegrass Band, whom I love dearly, and whom they're coming to the end of their tenure as a band because Bruce and Jeanette are moving up north to be closer to their family to deal with their personal aspects of stuff that they're going through. And but I cannot tell you, for the 10 years since I took up my music and the bluegrass band took up my Town of Regina song, we've been dear friends ever since. And so that'll be good. So the music will be no small part of what I'm doing while I'm here. I have 5 years of music from them and everybody else in town because I'm a fanatic when it comes to video recording people. And so that's the most of it. And I write a little something in terms of a poem. Almost every day I write something. So I'll give you a little something now that I wrote 30 years ago. And then I'll, moving forward, when I start ever a video, I'll give you something that I wrote today or yesterday. So my poem that I wrote during my 1992 or 3 or 4, whenever in the days I was running around Toronto in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse. That's another whole subject, addiction. I'll deal with that. But my poem is, to live outside of me, how lovely that would be. Watching me go, watching me grow, watching me fall, with no interference from myself at all. I would walk behind me and let me choose my path. I would never interfere again. Me would be free of I at last. But I has to wonder why me would want to be free of I. I thinks I was a wonderful guy. I love flowers and babies and a pretty blue sky, but even as I write, on goes the light, I lies and me dies. Because I never understood that if you don't feel, you're not real, and if you're not real, you might as well be dead. But I can't live outside of me's head. But me has decided to live, so I must die instead. And on that cheery note, I'll let it go for now. And I just wanted to put something out because I've been here for 10 days and I miss all you guys. I miss my music there. This year has just been off the charts amazing. I was thrown into abject poverty almost just by virtue of circumstances and projects being canceled. And I didn't even blink because I could care less about money, never have. Or I wouldn't have spent $100,000 defending the rights of the 400 people on Lake Drive. Who, by the way, when I started my GoFundMe stuff, I raised about $300 or $400 on the GoFundMe stuff. But I had 2 or 3 people on Lake Drive actually send me money by e-transfer because, for obvious reasons, the names go up on who donated on and so on. And until we get all the other stuff settled. So for that, thanks, guys. And I'm going to call it quits there because it's 14 minutes and this is my humble abode down here in Cuba, and I'm just out on my back porch here. I love my life and every living thing on the planet, which brings to mind the Shades of Hope people. They always make me smile. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you really soon. And what else? Nothing. Take care. I just wanted to add a little something to that, and that is that I'm sitting here with my battery-operated air-conditioned fan and my rechargeable light, and my other light running on my rechargeable backup battery because the power is out. So life's tough for me in Cuba. I have to actually sit here in battery-operated utilities, and I'm just kidding. I love my life, and so I just wanted to tell you, power's out, but I'm not. Take care, guys.